Hello and welcome to today's CAS Inspire webinar called Using the Isaac Platform to Support GCSE in Computer Science. My name's Suzanne Cray and I'm the host for this session. I'm also joined by my colleague Leah Batstone, who'll be moderating today's session and bringing your questions to today's panel if time allows. During the session, please use the question window on the right-hand side of your screen to ask questions, and all attendees today are in listen-only mode. If you're using social media, the hashtag for this event is hashtag CAS Inspire. So without further ado, I will introduce the panel. This afternoon, I'm delighted to be joined by Duncan Maidens and Carl Bartlam. Duncan Maidens is a Director of CS Education at the Raspberry Pi Foundation, where he oversees various aspects of the National Centre for Computing Education. He previously taught at Birmingham City University, where he worked with BCS and the CAS network for many years. And earlier in his career, he was an instructor officer in the Royal Navy after starting out as a BBC engineer. Carl is head of department at a brand new school in Milton Keynes called Watling Academy. He's computing lead for one of the NCCE hubs too, which runs across Milton Keynes and Northamptonshire. Carl runs the Milton Keynes mixed community, as well as being a CAS master teacher for the region. So I will hand over to Duncan and we will get started.
Okay, I hope you're all seeing my screen now with my slide, Isaac Computer Science.
Yes, that's fine, Duncan.
Brilliant, thanks, great. So hi, welcome everybody. I'm going to talk to you today about the Isaac Computer Science platform that we offer as part of the National Centre for Computing Education. I'm Director of Computer Science Education at the Raspberry Pi Foundation, which is one of the consortium members that make up the NCCE. The Isaac Computer Science platform has been around for quite a long time, and the initial aim of it was to focus on A-level students and teachers by providing effectively an electronic interactive textbook. It's been very successful within the current delivery, so much so that we've refocused some of the activity in the current NCCE contract to expand the platform into GCSE Computer Science, which is kind of super exciting. So that's predominantly what I'm going to talk to you about today. So what is it? It's free. That's the most important thing. It is aimed at teachers and students. It's free because it's funded by the Department for Education in England, although it's actually globally free. Anybody can sign up. There are no caveats for country or awarding body or anything like that. The content's been developed by us here at the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and to be able to do this, we've recruited heavily over the last several years and brought in quite a number of experienced teachers from England who now develop that content for us. It didn't just come out of nowhere. If you're not aware, there is a sister platform, which is Isaac Physics, based out of the University of Cambridge. And basically, we took all their fantastic ideas that they've developed for physics over the years, worked with the same technical team, and created a duplicate website and stuffed it full of computer science content. So it's really interesting for us because we speak to the physics team and we look at them being 2 or 3 years ahead of us, what's worked on the platform, and learn from them and develop and adapt for the delivery of computer science. So what's unique about Isaac? What are its features? Well, it's an online textbook, let's be honest. That's probably the best way to describe it. It's got loads of questions in there, which I'll explain a bit more. But one very specific thing is it's tailored to specific exam boards. I've got AQA and OCR in here, but you'll see that we've expanded that since we wrote this document. And it's integrated in a really interesting way that allows you to see content that's pertinent to the exam board you're studying for, and see content from other exam boards to get a more holistic picture of the computer science topics. Now, as I've explained, we're expanding it to cover GCSE and additional exam boards, so we can reach even more students and give a bigger picture of all the GCSE topics. The really interesting thing it's allowed us to do by introducing GCSE content is it's allowed us to take materials that we'd created to support A-level students who were new to GCSE and basically that is the GCSE material, and now make that to A-level, available to A-level students as revision or as preparation or as support material as they launch into their A-level content. And equally, as a GCSE student or teacher, if you're interested in a particular topic, you can go and have a look into the A-level content to see where the subject goes, maybe do a project and be inspired by the options that are coming in further study of computer science. So that's kind of the platform, and this USP is this ability to tailor your view, but also, should you choose, have a wider view. To support all of this, we've got an extensive online events program to support teachers and students, and it links into the wider offer of the NCCE, as you would expect. And within the platform, how can it help you as a teacher? Well, one of the things that we all do as teachers is set homework for students. You can look at the topic that you're studying, you can look at the preset questions that are in there, and basically make a homework board for your students. They will be able to work on those either in the lessons or at home, weekends, holidays, however you choose to do it. And you can look obviously at their progress and see how they're doing in the questions. The questions themselves, though, are really interesting because when a student answers a question, they're actually told immediately whether they've got it right or wrong, and then they have the option for some hints and some feedback to try and get to the right answer. So ultimately, what you see is that students do eventually get to the right answer with the supported assistance. And what you're interested in looking in the gradebook is actually how long it took them to get to the right answer, to see whether they're struggling with that. However, you may want to do something more traditional, and there are some pre-made baseline quizzes, which again I'll talk about later on. So what do you need to do to set up your account? Well, first of all, you don't have to set an account up. If you don't, you'll just go into the platform and you'll just see all the content that's available, and you'll see it mixed up by level and board, and it'll provide you a really holistic view of computer science education. As I said, it's globally available, and in fact, probably about 50% of our users are outside of the UK, who look at it as just a great resource of lots and lots of computer science material. But if you do register, and obviously as teachers in England, we would encourage you to do so, what you then can do is you can apply these filters to your view and allow you to see content filtered by board and obviously now A-level or GCSE. When you first create an account, it's just slightly anomaly the way the platform works. When you first create an account, you'll get a student account, and then within there's the ability to register for a teacher account. And obviously for safeguarding reasons, we do some checks on you and then upgrade your account to a teacher account. So what does it look like? Well, first of all, it's laid out by topic. So just for completeness, here's a view of the A-level topics. Don't worry if you can't read all the individual lines, but you can see it's broken up by themes, networking, computer systems, cybersecurity, etc. So you can go straight in and just go and click on a particular topic and look at that. Or in this particular view, you can actually look at each of the exam boards, and this obviously we very closely map to the specification for those exam boards. So then you'll only see the content in this list that's relevant for that particular board. You'll notice that if we just take any one of those, so if we took computer networks as a network fundamentals topic at the top, if we look at the GCSE topics, and forgive me, I have tried to capture all of this just to give you a flavour of how comprehensive it's going to be. You'll see, if you can read it, computer networks, network fundamentals at the top there again. Well, obviously, this is covered on A-level and it's covered on GCSE. It's covered to a different extent. It covers more of the topic in some more detail. And importantly, if you were to compare those materials when they're written for GCSE, what you'll find is the GCSE content is much more scaffolded, it assumes less pre-knowledge and builds up to those concepts. Whereas at A-level, we're now assuming that you've got that GCSE content. But as I said, the great thing is as an A-level student, if you've not, you can go look at the GCSE material anyway, and you'll see it as a comprehensive set of content. And again, here you can see the boards that we're covering for GCSE. So obviously AQA, OCR, as everybody would expect. We've managed to get quite a few people from Wales interested in the platform, so we're getting WJEC as well as Edexcel and EduCAS. So those are the topics. Well, what does it look like when you go into a topic? Well, here's a view in a particular topic, common input devices, and depending upon the options that you've set as a user, which I can talk about later, you can see here that you can filter by GCSE or A-level, or you've got the option to see all stages, which, as I said, is this overarching, complete, holistic view. And you've got the option to filter by exam boards there. So at every stage, as you are sitting with your hat on as a AQA GCSE student, you might think, oh God, you know, what else is there about this topic? And you can go and look at some additional content which may support you, stretch you, just give you a wider insight. Or if you're absolutely focused on the exam and you don't want any distractions, then you keep your filter set to your level and board, and that's the material that you then need to study. What do the topic views look like when you go into them? So what we've got here is we've got the view that a GCSE student would see looking at a particular topic, who's selected to see all levels. And what this shows us is that it's very clearly highlighted that they're interested in GCSE, that's why they're in red, and these are the topics that they want to study. But if they want to know more about where these topics are going, the A-level content is shown below, slightly grayed out, but clearly available. We've spent quite a bit of time doing some user research on this to decide how best to present it. And again, just to reiterate it, if you've not selected that, you will just see the content you need for GCSE. But if you said, no, I'd like to see more, then this is how we're presenting the additional materials for you to support your, in the case of a GCSE student, some further study. But we're very keen that it's not a distraction from what you need to do for your exam. So how have we organized our content? Well, for those who've taught multiple specifications, you'll know that all the awarding bodies tend to, oh gosh, write things in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways and package bits of content up under different headings. So we've taken a view of looking at the majority of them to find out what the common threads are, and we've come up with our main strands, which are the kind of the bigger themes of computer science, in which there are topics, which obviously are more specific. And then within each topic, we've got a particular concept. And we'll find on a concept, there's a page or a number of pages talking about that particular individual idea. And then obviously across the boards, some topics are in and out of different boards. And within each topic, some concepts are in and out of different boards. And for those of you that teach A-level and GCSE, you will know that then there are some things that are in both GCSE and A-level. So it's a real mismatch of stuff out there. And hopefully what this site does with these filters is allow you to get a really clear view. So GCSE, where are we now? Well, if you're not aware and you've not looked yet at the Isaac site, it's actually live already. We have some GCSE materials up there. They're marked in beta. I'll show you that in a moment. For those who've used the topic, the page before or the site before, we used to have some GCSE A-level transition topics, which, as I said, were these ones preparing students for A-level. We'll gradually phase those out because they will become GCSE material. So let's have a quick look at the site. Hopefully this is going to go okay. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly go into my account and just show you what I was talking about. So obviously I've logged in here as a teacher account, and what you can see here is in my profile, obviously name, address, etc. Default programming language will allow you to choose the way that the first language that you see in the content. So if you're teaching Python or you're teaching Java or you're teaching C, I know most people teach Python at GCSE, but believe you me, there are some hardcore people who actually teach C. There will be the option when we develop all the content to choose your programming language there, and that will display and change it in your own view. And then over here it says show me content for, and you can see we've got A-level or GCSE, and then for each of them we've got a number of boards. Now I've got a teacher account here, so it is slightly different. If I had a student account at this point, I would be able to select a level, I would be able to select a board, and that would be it. And that would then tailor my view. If I wanted to see other content that wasn't directly relevant for me, I'd tick this box, and as I've explained, that would appear grayed out. So if you've got weaker GCSE students who don't really need the distraction and just need to be told what's in the course coming up, then that's what they would select. Their board, their level, be done with it. But your aspiring students who you know are going to be your grade 1 to 3 kind of students, you're going to get them to tick this box. You're going to suggest projects for them to do, look at some A-level content as they're going through, and really be inspired. As a teacher, I might teach multiple levels, and it'd be a real pain if I kept having to come back into here and each time I wanted to change my view, change it to GCSE and whichever board I did, and A-level and whichever board I did. So what I can do as a teacher, I can say I'm teaching GCSE OCR and I'm also teaching A-level. Let's be really tough on this poor guy or lady, and I've got AQA for A-level. So I've now set up 2 profiles in my teacher account, and I'm going to save that profile. So having saved the profile, if I go on to learn and look at some GCSE topics, I'm just going to zoom in just so you can see this a bit clearer. As you can see here, as I said, this is in beta. It says, oh, why does it say? It should say beta at the top here. I don't know where that's gone, but it says new because these have just been launched, and you can see most are coming at the end of this year, and we have a phased writing cycle now and publishing cycle as content gets developed and comes onto the platform. As we come down here, we can click on a particular topic, representation of images, and you can see here immediately I've got an option as a teacher within my content to flick quickly between my 2 views. So the idea is, as a teacher, then you don't need to keep going back into your profile. And what you'll be able to see, oh, maybe I didn't choose a good particular one here. GCSE, let's a quick look at the A-level content. There you go. For the A-level content, we've got bitmap graphics, vector graphics, and bitmap versus vector. If we were looking at what GCSE content was available for that, it's just bitmap graphics, and we can go into there. And then the individual concepts here are tagged obviously as GCSE. I'm not going to go into any particular topic because it'll be a bit kind of tedious and boring there. So that's kind of the idea of the view and the way that you can switch between those multiple views, which, like I said, is our USP of the platform. Okay, let me just get back to here. Okay, so the other big thing we have is questions. And this is an example. It's not so applicable to GCSE, but the concept's still important. I don't know if you noticed one of those little tick boxes was about Boolean notation. If you teach A-level or you've got aspiring GCSE students, they'll love this. Unfortunately, different boards choose different notation for the logics of and, ors, and nots. And our exam questions now, depending upon what you select, then you will see this actually changes live on the site between the AQA and the OCR notation. So again, we've coped with that. So just skipped ahead, I think. Oh, there we go. And then, like I say, our questions are self-marking questions. Within the actual content itself, we've got what we call quick questions, which are part of the learning process. You read a bit, there's a question, you're prompted to think about the answer, and then the answer is revealed if you click on the box, and maybe gives you some more working. So those are just part of a pedagogical approach to learning, and we believe they're quite good. And we've got some really interesting research going on around those. The other thing we've got is our end of topic questions, which are these self-marking ones, and we spend a huge amount of time thinking about the answers that we give as the other options. And we also analyze all the common wrong answers that students give in to see if we can highlight any misunderstandings or key areas that students are struggling with. And then we build that back in and improve the questions. And it takes a huge amount of our time doing that. So we're very confident and positive that our questions are really good. We've got Parsons problems in there, which are reordering problems and the usual multi-choice ones. And obviously, you can type in answers, some are string and numbers. And if you get it wrong, you get a hint. If you get it wrong again, you get a bit more of a structured hint. And if you get it wrong a third time, you get a video, which then describes to you, not the answer, but a more detailed way of approaching it. So really, it's about supporting students to learn as part of the questions and get to the right answer. And then we have this weird thing called game boards, which is a word left over from Isaac Physics, and we just haven't shaken it yet. A game, suddenly it's not a game of chess or anything like that. A game board is our exciting name for a set of questions. And as a teacher, you can get a set of questions, build a game board, create your own, set them up as an assignment, and like I say, give them to your students. We're probably going to run out of time today, but I think these slides are being shared, and there's a link there, a bit.ly link, which will take you off to a game board to have a play with. Obviously, as a teacher, then you can loosely manage your students. So it's not a full LMS system. Don't think you're going to do all the details of your students. We're not trying to create that. We're trying to loosely give you some control over what students do with these game boards. So you can create a group. You can obviously share that with colleagues. And if you set up these questions, set those for those students to do and look at their progress to help you then as a teacher see where your class is struggling and go back and provide some additional support in that area. And as I said, we've got quizzes, which are now going to be renamed tests, some semantics there, which after the awful 2 years we've had, when you're getting these students back into the class and you think, what in the world have they learned over 2 years? I've really no idea. What we've done is we've created some sets of pre-selected questions at the moment, and we can give those to students just as a baseline test. At the moment, there's limited functionality for that, but it's something that we've kind of built into the platform for another purpose, and we've worked out how to make that available should it be useful to yourselves as teachers. And then finally, the last bit is our events program. For GCSE, we've got Discoverer, Explorer and Voyager events. So there's a whole range of different events that'll be coming out, run through the hubs, and lots of teacher CPD, and it'll be built into the wider offer of the NCCE. And some great posters to download, just about widening participation, and lots of stories about where people have gone with computer science. Wow, sorry, I think I took more than my fair share of time there, but hopefully I've excited you about it.
Thank you so much, Duncan. I just kind of popped up really because I wanted to just give Carl a chance to just explain his experience of the Isaac Computer Science system as well. So we've got a few minutes, Carl, if you are able to share. And thank you very much, Duncan.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No worries. Duncan, I don't know if you could just go back 2 slides. Could you just back to your events page? That'd be great.
Yeah.
So really, I was just going to mention, just going off that idea of the events that we run through Isaac. So as mentioned at the beginning, I do run some events for A-level, and I piloted the GCSE ones quite recently. So the idea between the Explorer and the Voyager sessions is that idea that we are thinking about targeting particular students. So I did the data representation on text and images quite recently. So the idea between the difference between the Explorer and the Voyager, the Explorer was mainly targeted to students that were maybe graded between 1 and 4, and then that Voyager was the 5 to 9 to stretch them to, you know, think about the more challenging components of those different topics. Again, I think, you know, the 45-minute sessions that I ran were very successful. There were quite lots of tweets going around. There was one school had their entire class stay behind after school to take part in the session. Again, you know, it's very much a revision session, and I try and make them quite practical as much as I can. So it's not just me speaking all the way through them. It's that idea that we are giving you some little bit of recap, as well as thinking about the platform, integrating some of those game boards, as well as maybe pulling a couple of exam questions as well, and just thinking about how we might answer those type of questions. So I know we've got a couple of minutes left, but I thought I'd just very quickly summarize some of the events that I've ran at GCSE quite recently. And that's everything from me.
Thank you both. Actually, it's a really good introduction. I think probably we could have even talked for a lot longer, couldn't we, to showcase really all the different features. But that's a little bit of a taster for you know, what there is available. We haven't got time for questions, I'm afraid. So if you do have questions, please do send them over to us on one of the social media channels, or via the website or the email address, and we'll attempt to address them for you. And there's an email address on the screen as well for you. Thank you, Duncan. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much to our two presenters, Duncan and Carl, today, and thank you to our audience for joining us today. Please can I encourage you to share your highlights from today's session via social media and the CAS website using the hashtag CAS Inspire. It'd really be good to hear kind of your thoughts. At the end of this webinar, a short survey will appear on the screen, and we would be grateful if you would take a minute to complete that survey. Please continue to spread the word about CAS Inspire. We are hosting further sessions all the way through into 2022. Please join us next Wednesday at 4 p.m. for our next secondary CAS Inspire session, all about getting girls excited about pursuing careers in computing and engineering. Should be a good one. Thanks for joining, everybody. We hope to see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.